The conservative fast food world is in shambles this after news of Chick-fil-A having a vice president of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, as some conservative groups calling for a boycott. The fast food giant has been a preferred dining venue of many on the right over the years, not only due to its tasty fried chicken sandwiches, I find them tasty at least, but also in part due to its religious roots and perception of anti-LGBT organizing. A previous announcement of Eric McReynolds, who is the VP for DEI at the company and actually has apparently been there since 2020, has some claiming the company is going woke. Woke Chick-fil-A, Briahna? What's going on here? So I'm seeing a lot of tweets from very angry Charlie Kirk type people. Charlie Kirk said Chick-fil-A goes woke, commits to DEI. Jenna Ellis says the same. Benny Johnson is calling for a boycott. Lauren Chen says his company's gone downhill. Brandon Straka says that when he used to be a liberal, he was boycotting Chick-fil-A, and he's a conservative and is going to boycott them again.
Yeah, that's the best part, I think, of this particular story is that unwittingly, Chick-fil-A has brought together people on the left and the right. Everybody's boycotting Chick-fil-A now for different reasons. People on the left have long, as you mentioned, perceived Chick-fil-A to be an anti-gay establishment. And now it seems that because they hired a DEI person, which is the equivalent of just having an HR department these days, they're getting a lot of ire from the right. So
right,
you can't win for losing.
According to our reporting, it's not even that this is a new figure, but the person put out a statement.
So here's the statement. This is what is considered to be objectionable. It's titled, "When we're better at together, we're better together." Syntactically, I'm not sure about that, but that's the top
all right,
line.
I disagree. I'm going to boycott them. That's a dumb statement.
When we're better at together, we're better together. They went on to say one of our core values at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and the genius who put that statement together probably makes $500,000 at this company.
All right, okay, all right. They go on to say one of our core values at Chick-fil-A is that we are better together. When we combine our unique backgrounds and experiences with a culture of belonging, we can discover new ways to strengthen the quality of care we deliver to customers, to the communities we serve, and to the world. We understand that getting better at together means we learn better, care better, grow better, and serve better. Chick-fil-A's commitment to being better at together means embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Say better one more time.
Into everything we do. That's it.
All right, you've convinced me to start a boycott. It's just such empty platitudes.
I mean, of course it is. All of this.
That's what DEI is.
This is the problem with all of these boycotts and all of the people who are invested either from the left or on the right in any of these companies caring at all about anybody one way or another. Target doesn't care in particular about gay people, is not going to invest in the rights substantively of gay people, their material rights in particular, nor is Disney, right? Disney ultimately was only pressured to make a statement against the Don't Say Gay bill by some of their employees who felt abandoned or thrown under the bus. But it wasn't just the corporation saying, you know what, we should do a solid today and take our place in the pantheon of LGBTQIA heroes in America and take a stand against Ron DeSantis. That's how none of this goes. Now Chick-fil-A is in a position where, of course, like every single corporation in America, have like beefed up their HR department by including DEI, which is the predominant kind of HR status quo. Why? Because in order to insulate themselves from lawsuits, they need to be able to say, we did what the industry standard thing is to do, and if anybody complains at the company, we cannot be held liable. This isn't about gay people, this isn't about black people, this isn't about anything, any marginalized group.
Well, and that's what I wish that conservatives, it's about the bottom line. Many of these companies are not necessarily totally freely choosing to. You just have to do this because you could incur great liability, as you're saying. I mean, there's civil rights law, there's non-discrimination law for various depending on what state you're in, for various categories of gender and identity and those kinds of things. And I mean, this is like when conservatives were some more ballistic, that Fox had COVID requirements or something. It's the city of New York had these requirements. Right. You can fight them, just like some people got mad at the Daily Wire when they said, okay, well, if you, Steven Crowder, get banned from YouTube, which is your entire business model, we're not going to still pay you the entire $50 million. Like, organizations operate within reasonable incentives. If the incentive structure, because of civil rights law, non-discrimination law, and other things, employment, OSHA, all that stuff, they're going to have HR departments, and they're going to have DEI departments. And I will agree, you'll probably think some of the things that come out of those departments are kind of meaningless, just hand-waving at actual social justice and putting a Band-Aid on something.
Some of it makes the dynamics worse at the workplace.
Some of them right. I have no fondness whatsoever for DEI stuff. I think a lot of it is the very worst of wokeness, social justice. It's obnoxious. It's often not helpful. Divisive. We've all been through those kinds of training seminars
Sure.
that seem like a waste of everyone's time, if not just totally counterproductive. That really reduce people very much to their affinity group in a really alienating, dehumanizing ways. It's not great. I think it's substantially a huge waste of time. But it's not like the company's what would be great? Let's do that. How do we write this? How do we write off this requirement? How do we prevent lawsuits?
Yeah,
that's a compliance official tells you to do that.
I think that's exactly right. Now, Semaphor's Dave Weigel is reporting how the boycotts over at Target and Bud Light have boosted efforts to walk back brand support of the LGBTQIA+ community, especially during Pride Month. And lawmakers like California Representative Robert Garcia warning his state party's LGBTQ caucus to be ready for a Pride Month fight. Weigel writes, energized by a boycott of Bud Light and before that by Ron DeSantis' parental rights battle with Disney, social conservatives see this year's Pride Month as an opportunity to make corporations pay for LGBTQ-friendly marketing, especially for products enjoyed by children.
And on those fronts, a song called Boycott Target is reportedly topping the charts on iTunes. Can't wait to listen to that. Bud Light sales are down 30%. Pride organizers in Florida are claiming that the community is leaving the state in droves. Yes, the boycott against Bud Light has worked. It has substantially reduced sales of that beer. Even, there's some incoherence to it. People choosing an alternative beer that's owned by the same company, all that stuff. But they can't get rid of Bud Light.
Hey, look, I'm not going to be sitting here shedding any tears, playing small violins for multinational corporations losing money. I do think the targeting of the working class. You have to break out your
rainbow-colored tiny violin.
Yeah, right. I do think that the working class people who are getting harassed at Target, the people who are being employed at these places, that's a bad PR look because those are your constituents. Retail workers are the number one type of working class job in this country. We can sit here and fantasize about a world where there's this kind of working class guy in a hard hat on a construction lot or something. That is the classical picture of the American worker. But your average working class person who's supposed to be the subject of a lot of these populist appeals from the right are retail workers. And a lot of them, frankly, at this point are younger, they're gayer, they have gay friends, and even if they're not into some of the more, let's say, lefty, extreme, more radical, newer, I should say, aspects of gender identity and the like, we live in a world where we feel like we're regressing, where, back in 2016, Donald Trump issued Pride paraphernalia from his store, and now we have people who are ostensibly members of that same political cohort are trashing Pride rainbow displays in Target. And there's a question as to whether or not that sort of thing is going to turn off normie voters. We'll see over the next 18 months or so.
Yeah, we'll see. But unlike boycotting a specific product, you can't boycott the DEI industry. You can try, but the companies are still going to go down that direction as long as the incentives in place. That's a lot harder of a thing to resist because, again, it is about their financial incentives and their difficulty grappling with various non-discrimination policies. Yeah. More Rising right after this.